Good afternoon, Scott here, known as Cantaloupe to some online, and I'm bringing a video to you on a subject that's interesting to me. It might be of interest to you or someone you know, and I want to talk about Elon Musk's space program. SpaceX, if you're familiar with the business and the company, he has multiple main reasons that he has described why he created this company with his own money, and he talks a lot about how his reasons are like the eggs in a basket is the main reason. He says, as in humans on Earth, you don't keep all your eggs in one basket, and it makes sense to him that if there was some kind of global catastrophe, that humans should be elsewhere as well to protect the species. And it's a logical argument, but he also has another main reason somehow that the common person needs to be able to access space travel as a mode of transportation, entertainment, travel, space exploration, but for its own sake. And that's another main reason he describes for having created the company. Now, here's the problem. These aren't the same reasons, and I am feeling like he's not describing the actual reason. These would be realistic reasons, believable reasons, but he has a history of evading things. He has another company, in fact, that instead of going into space, it goes under the earth. It goes into the ground. It's called the Boring Company, and it's about commercial boring for tunnels, creating underground infrastructure, underground space. He has equipment and manufactures these things, but the common theme here is escapism somehow, and he's not going to admit that, but it's true. So he has one company that's aimed to escape the planet going up, and another one that's aimed to escape the planet going down. And my only question remaining is, if it's so cool to live in space, Elon, if you see this video, why don't you live in space? You could easily live on a space station. Your company's been successful now for over a decade that I know, that I've seen, and you still live on Earth, and so do we. So maybe before we try to escape our problems that you are helping create, by the way, we could fix some of the problems here to make Earth even better. And I understand the threat of asteroid impact, etc., that could potentially be an extinction level event, but let's cross that bridge in cosmic time when we get to it. Okay, and I'm not saying that we have forever to wait. It's a logical argument still, but we have much bigger problems closer at hand that are threatening our species, and building a bridge to space sounds nice, but I don't even honestly believe that that's the reason. So there's something else. There is a great deal of ambiguity surrounding the story of Elon's fortune, where it came from, the origin of it. There's some information about a family emerald mine that, according to what I read, had something to do with his early fortune, and he's a self-described self-made man, and he just had wise investments at some point, which doubled and tripled and quadrupled and split. But that doesn't explain why so few people experience this level of economic success. And it also doesn't explain why the so-called South African emerald mine is so far away, and therefore hard to check, hard to fact check, if you will. I think that there's a lot of questionable things about what I've heard Elon Musk say, and I think that he is trying desperately, in honesty, my analysis is he's trying to create an exit route. He's trying to create an escape route so that he can bail if needed, and he's going to have a company at the ready, below and above, in either direction he chooses, and he can just flip a coin, at which point it becomes necessary. And it's undeniable that he has these companies. They're real companies. And it's also undeniable that he has failed to differentiate which, in fact, is the main reason for SpaceX. He talks about some very obvious and common sales pitches about why people would perhaps be able to use the service, but he's also famously opaque about the hazards of space travel. I've never heard him really criticize or take a caring standpoint on behalf of the people who he would recruit to, for example, travel to Mars. He talks about Mars a lot, but he fails to mention things like Mars is literally 1/10 the mass of Earth. That's 1/10. 1/10 the size of Earth, with almost no atmosphere. It's freezing temperature. It has scant amounts of water. What remains, if it ever had water, and it's uninhabitable at the moment without a great deal of technology that would obviously need to be replaceable locally. And I don't want to get into working terraform operation, the plans for that, but he has failed to mention in any of his speeches that I've seen, and I've seen quite a few of them, that it would be an almost death sentence for the people who went there. They couldn't come back, that's for sure, but they also would have a very low chance of success and survival on a long term. My impression, okay, at 5 minutes 30 seconds, my impression of Elon's SpaceX program and his actual reason for implementing this company is that he wants to either leave the Earth itself at some point, or have the ability, the option to do that, or to send someone or something else off of the Earth. Say, troublemakers. I don't know. I'm just thinking. I'm thinking outside the box here. What if one of his unadvertised services was to, trick people who might, be Star Trek fans into exiting the planet because they obviously like space travel or the idea of space travel, and it's not hard to sell people on an idea, especially if you're, a multi-billionaire. And say he's in partnership with the government, and we already know he is. He's met with the Trump administration many times at this point. What if, I'm just saying, what if, and I have no evidence for this, but what if he has an unofficial service to deport or export people who might be inclined towards space travel as an idea, but who would, if kept on Earth, create some kind of political problem or economic problem or a challenge for the administration? What if he were to, use SpaceX as a convenient escalator for these people to just eject them from the planet? I'm just saying, it would make sense. What if he were able to keep $500 billion of his fortune by investing $1 billion by getting rid of these people? Just something to think about. There's a lot of stuff that he doesn't say, and I'm trying to see the logic of having multiple main reasons, and that never makes sense. There's only one main reason for any business or any honest endeavor. Something to think about. Reach out if you like with questions or comments down below. Thank you.